I'm riding the craziest rides at Universal Studios, like a Harry Potter ride with a real fire-breathing dragon, an insane Transformers ride, a ride so bizarre I can't even explain it, starting with one of the world's weirdest roller coasters. It starts with us entering a creepy tomb where we see a guy who's been mummified and getting attacked by the big boy mummy, who tells us that he's about to steal our souls. And this is when the ride gets insane, because we enter a giant room filled with tons of treasure and also tons of mummies who attack us alongside an insane amount of fire. We twisted out of the room and violently slammed to a stop where we got attacked by bugs and launched backwards, and this was the start of an insane Wait, we've stopped again. Now we're rotating.
What is happening, dude? This is insane.
Finally, we launched into a super dark coaster segment where we were twisting all around until we twisted back into the station, ending the ride. Wait, what? Oh my god, then he lights the ceiling on fire. We launched out of there, and after a little bit more roller coaster, the mummy shot us with red before a magic symbol appeared, allowing us to return safely to the station. I think the ride's actually over this time.
That was crazy. That was like one of the weirdest rides I've ever ridden, but also like I don't think I've ever seen that much fire on any ride before.
By the way, we'll be ranking every single ride, so at the end we can find out what the best ride is, and this was definitely A tier. Trust me, there's even better rides coming up, like one of the most famous roller coasters ever built, the world's worst theme park ride, apparently, and Transformers the Ride 3D, which honestly, I was expecting to be terrible. See, I rode this exact same ride in my last video at Universal Hollywood, and I thought it kinda sucked, so I really wasn't looking forward to riding it again.
But I mean, hey, at least the line's short.
The ride starts with a big old robot dog stealing the Allspark, and we gotta get it back, so we spin around to find Bumblebee, who catches him and stinkin' rips him in half. Oh my god! He tosses us the Allspark, and we run away and find Optimus Prime. He says the line, and then immediately gets taken down. We skedaddle, but we're chased down by a helicopter dude who nearly catches us, but gets his arm chopped off by a subway train. We aren't safe yet though, because Megatron has somehow escaped Optimus Prime and is now gonna steam our ham. Thankfully, he gets sprayed with a little water and we manage to escape, but we still aren't safe, because he's back. But now Optimus has returned. They fight for a little before Megatron shoots us with a big ol' slow-mo rocket thing, which nearly misses and creates a hole that we use to escape. But we still aren't safe, because we get sucked up by a big stinky vacuum dude who sucks us just a little bit too hard, and we go flying overhead and then fall through a building. We try running away, but we're not safe yet, because the vacuum dude is back and he's really sucking this time. But all we gotta do is enable shields and we just smoothly go through. After he poops us out, we're caught by a flying dude and slammed through a building before stumbling into a fight between Optimus Prime and Megatron, where Optimus gets brutally stabbed right in front of us. But finally we're safe, until Megatron jumps us, asks us to They start fighting again, but this time we're getting involved, because we drive up, stick the Allspark into Megatron, steaming his ham, all while falling off a goddamn building. Thankfully, Bumblebee catches us, and after seeing Megatron's remains, the ride is over.
Wait a second, that was actually really good. I don't know why I gave that a C last time. That was one of the best rides I've ever ridden. I don't know if I can give it an S, but that's easily an A tier ride. That's really good.
Now after that, I went over to one of the most hated roller coasters in the world, Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket.
People stinking hate this ride. Like, if you were to ask a lot of people, they would say that this is one of, if not the worst roller coasters in the entire world. There's actually been a lot of rumors that it's gonna be closing down soon, and instead of being sad because the roller coaster is being taken out, people are straight up celebrating it and hoping that it closes sooner. Like, that's how much people hate this thing.
The ride starts in a really unique way. See, this coaster's whole gimmick is that it lets you listen to music while you ride, which is why it's called Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket. Rocket, like rock out. It's the most 2000s thing I've ever seen. Actually, I take that back. The line is the most 2000s thing I've ever seen, and what makes that actually really bad is that you can't have your phone in the line. You have to put it into a locker before you get in line, so you're just stuck staring at vaguely 2000s-ness for God knows how long. Anyways, the ride starts by climbing a vertical lift that did wonders for my back.
Oh, that feels so good on my back.
Then we drop down a weirdly not vertical drop. Seriously, why was the lift steeper than the drop? That's not how roller coasters are. Anyways, we rose up into a weird loop that didn't go upside down and threw me out of my seat before climbing up into some brakes that slowed us down before we dropped through the Ghostbusters building and twisted into an absolutely insane turn. I legit started to black out during this part. It was insane. Then we hit some brakes and dropped next to the loop thing. We went through a couple really slow turns before hitting even more brakes and dropping into a trench where we twisted around a little before, you guessed it, even more stankin' brakes. We dropped down, turned, and rose goes up to the actual final breaks. Overall, it was a pretty fun ride, but it was just so stankin' rough.
No washing machine would be smoother than this.
That said,
it also had some like genuinely really fun moments.
Honestly, I'll put it in B tier. From there, I walked over to one of the most insanely bizarre rides I have ever ridden, E.T. Adventure. Honestly, I didn't even know this ride existed. I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about it, so I had literally no idea what to expect. And first impressions were pretty bad, because it starts with, well, this. And that's followed by the most genuinely baffling pre-show I've ever seen. Normally when rides have pre-shows, it's to set up the ride story in an in-universe way that naturally invites the guests into the world of the ride. Here, Steven Spielberg literally just walks onto screen and straight up says, "This is the ride story. We're on a mission to take E.T. back to his home planet and save it with his healing touch." That's it. That's the story. After I left the pre-show, I told some random guy my name and was handed an E.T. Adventure passport, whatever that is, and entered into the woods. This was absolutely incredible. There were details everywhere I looked, from the trees to the scientific umbrella things and the animatronic that appeared out of nowhere and talked to us. The ride starts in a dark forest where we see a bunch of people coming at us with flashlights, so we jet to the side and nearly get hit by a car. We climb up a hill and jump over a guy before we get caught by the police. It looks like there's no way out, but we start flying. We soar over a city before going into deep space and jumping to light speed, and finally we've arrived at E.T.'s home planet, which is super rocky and creepy looking. We see another alien dude who isn't E.T. but kinda looks like him before seeing the big man himself, E.T. He uses his healing touch to save the planet, and this is when the ride gets absolutely insane. I was utterly flabbergasted when we entered this scene, and it just kept going. The last 2 minutes of this ride were a complete and total sensory overload as we toured E.T.'s home planet. There were rainbow environments, water was going everywhere, we saw creatures so bizarre they would put stuff at the bottom of the ocean to shame, and I loved it.
That's A tier. That's fantastic, dude. People should talk about that.
After that, I walked through the Simpsons land into London.
Behind this building is something pretty crazy, and it's where the last ride we're gonna ride today is, which looks like one of the most insane and incredible rides in the entire world. Like, mind-blowing levels of awesomeness. But we're not gonna go back there yet because there is still one final ride that we need to ride. Fast and Furious. If you didn't know, this is probably the most hated theme park attraction literally ever created. Like, just a few days ago, somebody put out a Reddit post asking what the worst theme park ride in the entire Universal chain is, and literally every single reply was the Fast and Furious. If you look up lists of the worst theme park attractions ever built, chances are this will be number one, and if this isn't number one, it's because the person that made the list hasn't ridden it yet. There is not a single positive thing literally that has ever been said about this ride, and ironically that makes me really excited to ride it, because like, it can't be that bad, right? And if it is that bad, it has to make it like good in like a it's so bad it's good type of way, right? Or is it just straight up like the worst ride ever created? I'm excited for some reason. Let's go give it a try.
First impressions were actually really good. The line for the ride was stankin' incredible. It took me through this amazing garage that looked right out of the movies, and as we got deeper into the queue, it just kept getting better, because after we saw a couple more cars, we entered the pre-show, and unlike E.T., the pre-show on this ride was actually really good. There was a live actor, and they had to talk back and forth with the pre-recorded bogus the Fast and Furious family said. It was very clearly meant to be taken seriously, but the pre-recorded dialogue was so hilariously bad that the actors just made fun of it the whole time.
Get that turbo truck ready. I'm sending Letty there to pick it up.
I'm on it.
I'm on it.
Why am I here?
Then we climbed into our party bus, because nothing says Fast and Furious like a slow-moving, overcrowded bus. The ride starts with The Rock introducing himself as not The Rock.
My name is Special Agent Luke Hobbs of the U.S. Diplomatic Security Service.
Come on, that's totally just The Rock. He tells us that we got a high-value witness on board and some dude is coming after us. Then we went through a pretty cool alleyway before arriving to a party, and this is when the ride started to get just terrible. We arrived just in time for the FBI to break up the party. Then the FBI dude tried to arrest one of the Fast and Furious family dudes, but he gets saved by more family rising on the truck that was under the floor for some reason. They do some talking, The Rock comes in, holds a gun, and then walks out, and finally it was time for the actual meat of the ride, and oh god, it was terrible, but probably not for the reasons that you're expecting. It started fine, but then...
Jesus Christ! Oh my god!
See, they had a big CO2 cannon, and every time they would shoot it, it would hit me directly in the face full force. I literally cannot remember anything about this ride. All I remember is just bracing for the CO2 to punch me in the face. It was such a surreal ride, unlike anything I've ever experienced before. It's actually really funny to look back at, so I'm gonna put Fast and Furious in the C tier. From there, I walked into the London area because it was finally time to enter Diagon Alley. This might be the best theme park land ever created. It felt like walking into a movie. There were so many stinking details. Oh, and there was also a giant fire-breathing dragon.
That was sick.
And that dragon standing on top of the final ride, Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts, which looks like it might be the best ride ever created. But before we get in line, I'm really stinking hungry, so I decided to grab something to eat from the Leaky Cauldron. This place was absolutely incredible. It was probably the coolest restaurant I've ever been in.
Like, I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I've never watched the movies, read the books, anything like that, but this is so cool.
They serve a wide variety of British cuisine, so I ended up going with the specialty chicken sandwich.
It costs just under $16, which isn't actually that bad for theme park food. Of course, if the food is actually good. Let's find out.
I started with the fries, which were some of the best theme park fries I've ever had.
It's very heavy on the potato. Like, I know all fries are potatoes because, like, that's what makes fries, but this one's like a very potato tasting fry, and I really like it.
Then, after taking the tomato off the sandwich and eating it, I promise I'm not crazy, that's just how you gotta do it. It was on to the main event, the chicken sandwich.
Wow, that's actually really good. That's a banger chicken sandwich.
It had a very rich chicken flavor to it. There was also a great sauce on it, and the bacon was cooked to perfection.
Without a doubt, that's the best theme park food I've ever had.
That was a really good theme park meal, but in my next video, I'm gonna be eating at what is apparently the best theme park restaurant in the world, at what is apparently the world's best theme park. So subscribe if you wanna see that, because it's gonna get pretty crazy.
Oh my God!
Anyways, after I got out of the Leaky Cauldron, it was time to ride the Escape from Gringotts, which started with one of the most amazing lines I've ever been in.
Yo, that's crazy.
I know literally nothing about Harry Potter, but this was breathtaking. I didn't get much time to take it in though, because there just wasn't a line, which honestly had me questioning if this was actually gonna be a good ride. Like, normally a ride not having a line is a bad sign, and Fast and Furious literally just proved that having a cool line does not mean the ride is actually going to be good. That said, both pre-shows were amazing. In the first one, the main banker dude tells us he's gonna take us on a tour of the vaults, but he can't find his keys. Thankfully, this guy enters and magically finds them. Who is this guy? Actually, it probably doesn't much matter. I can't imagine he's gonna be sticking around.
If you don't mind, I'll join you on your tour.
Ah, shoot. After that, we took an elevator down to what they called the vaults. This was crazy. It felt like a real elevator. Finally, I grabbed my 3D glasses, climbed up some really cool stairs, and it was riding time.
Dude, I got a car completely to myself. Like, I'm the only dude in this car. What the heck?
The ride starts in the craziest way possible. The dwarf dude from the pre-show shows up alongside that guy, but before they can get to us, they get pulled back because this crazy lady showed up. She thinks that we're imposters and has decided to steam our ham, which she does by literally making the track tilt.
Yo, wait, what? Yo!
We dropped into darkness and a super short coaster segment before popping out where we're stopped by that guy. God dang, he really is important. Then Harry Potter pulls up, sets off the alarm, and gets dropped out of his cart before these big old chunky metal dudes pick us up and throw us, which sends us spinning past this really cool waterfall thing and to even more chunky dudes who are gonna read our cookbooks. Thankfully, they're dumb as bricks and end up taking each other out, but they take us with them. We're caught by that guy, and then a god dang dragon starts going crazy. Thankfully, that guy saves us again before sending us past some giant vaults where we find the big boy banker dude who tells us where to go. Unfortunately, we aren't safe because now the crazy lady's back alongside Voldemort. He tells us that he knows that we've seen Harry Potter and that he wants to know where he is before the crazy lady starts whipping us and Voldemort shoots us into a cave filled with lava. They reappear next to us and Voldemort breathes a giant fire face, but before it can attack us, the goddamn dragon shows back up and beats it with even more fire. Harry Potter, who's riding the goddamn dragon, shoots Voldemort with some blue before attaching us to the goddamn dragon and launching us out of the cave. Finally, after a little bit more roller coaster, we see that guy again, and the ride is over.
S tier, easy.
But what was the best ride at Universal Studios? Well, Transformers was shockingly fun. Revenge of the Mummy was one of the best indoor coasters I've ever ridden with so much stank and fire. But obviously, the undisputed best ride at Universal Studios is easily Fast and Furious. No, okay, I'm joking. Chill out, whoa. In all seriousness, Escape from Gringotts was way better than nearly every other ride I've ridden before. If you enjoyed this video, I can almost guarantee that you'll enjoy this video from Universal Hollywood. It is probably the best video I've ever made.
He just pooped.